Hi, everybody. Mike Handcock here, Chairman of the Circle of Excellence Group of Companies, and welcome to today's Global Intelligence Update, the art and science of giving. And I may be proved wrong because more people are coming into the room now, but I was just saying to everybody, this is the smallest group I've had so far on the Global Intelligence Update, and the topic is giving. Hopefully, that's not showing an illustration of where society is at the moment, which is we're not going to give anything, we're just going to take at the moment, or we just want. So, this is, if you're listening to this or if you're watching this, it's going to be a good reminder on some of the reasons that you should perhaps think about giving more as well. So let's jump into this, the art and science of giving. I want to start with some background and tell you all that I was never much of a giver. I was a lot of a taker, and meaning that I guess I was just an ordinary person who didn't see the point. I mean, occasionally I'd give $10 if somebody was, had a tin out at a supermarket or something like that, but I didn't have a process of giving. Yet in 2005, I went to Cambodia for the first time. I've been back 13 times, but 2005, I went there. And as part of a tour, there was a small tour group. And the guy who's the tour leader is one of my very close friends these days. And we've done so much work together, which is a whole other story I won't go into. But we went to a little village in the middle of nowhere. And before we went to the villages, he used to teach us to go and we'd go to the markets and we'd buy stuff, right? So we'd buy some food, some apples, some oranges, and whatever, and we'd buy soccer balls and things they didn't have, toothpaste and toothbrushes. We bought a lot of toothpaste. I bought a lot of toothpaste in my time in Cambodia. Anyway, so, and school books, they didn't have school books. So we'd go school bags, and we'd go to the schools and towns and give them out. So we went to this little village and we were giving everything out. And this was maybe the first time I'd done it, maybe the second. And then I started realizing I'm having so much fun. It's so much joy being like this big white god giving stuff out to the poor people, right? And then I got to a point where I realized, oh crap, there's more children than I've got stuff in my backpack. And then I started panicking because I got to sort of the end and the kids were around me and I'm having to say, no, I've got no more stuff. And I felt so bad and so guilty. And they all left except for this one child. And this one child, the cutest kid, was standing in front of me, just looking at me with these big eyes. And I was like desperately feeling in my backpack, have I got anything else to give him? Have I got anything else to give him? And in a small corner of my backpack, because I did have my water and that in there as well, in a small corner of my backpack, I've reached and I found a banana. And as I pulled it out, bananas in Cambodia aren't like bananas in the rest of the world. They're really small. And this one had been sitting in my backpack for about 3 or 4 days. It's 40 degrees heat, you can imagine. And I went, I can't give him this. As I sort of glanced at it, and then I thought something in my mind made me pull it out and push it right in front of him. And he looked at this banana and he grabbed it with both hands and he ran back to his mother, and they were both going yay and jumping up and down on the porch of their hut. And I just started crying. I'm going to show you a photo of the kid. And this started a 20-year journey of mine of wanting to contribute. Now, had I contributed before? Yes, I was on, I've been on local boards and things since the time I was 24. Been, on the board of the cricket club, the local development councils, different things like this, industry bodies and stuff like that. But this was the first time I really felt the joy of giving. So this led us to get fully behind an orphanage in Cambodia, which we supported from 2007 till about 2019, when the last of the children left the orphanage, and we went there every year, sometimes twice a year, hung out with the kids. If you look at the floor behind the orphanage there, it didn't used to look like that. It used to be dirt. There was all sorts of different things got put in to the orphanage, plumbing, electric lighting, etc. They had none of that sort of stuff. And that led us to start in 2007 a company called Soul Journeys. And a number of our clients who are normally on this call have been to Soul Journeys. And on every one of these Soul Journeys, we were able to do some gift of giving to local people. And so this is actually in South Africa on our South African Soul Journey in 2012 when we went to the townships there and were able to give back. And this is also in Asia. This my friend Glenn here actually giving something to a 90-year-old woman, which is fantastic. And we would just go and buy truckloads of food and take it to the orphanages and to schools and things like that, and just to help them along the way. At the same time, around 2007, I coached the guy who started the Global Dialogue Foundation. He's not in this photo. Global Dialogue Foundation helps cultures and religions create dialogue amongst each other for improving the world. And this photo was taken a couple of years ago in India, where these students had gone out and actually done Global Dialogue Foundation projects, different parts of India and around Southeast Asia, and they're getting their certificates awarded from Lundy and I there. But also, through Global Dialogue Foundation, we got a couple of big hitters involved. The guy in the middle there is one of the 100 top wealthiest people in the world. Actually, I think he's out of the top 100 now. But I got to meet him, and I know him very well these days. So, most of the people from India are aware of the Birla Group. And so that led us to the Sage Foundation, also around the same time, which was then put together in India as well. Global Dialogue Foundation's from Melbourne, Australia, but the Sage Foundation is put together in India, and that comes under the auspices of the Clinton Global Initiative. And yes, there's a number of things that happen there. This is an orphanage that Shazar, who's often on these calls here, played a major part in. As a matter of fact, I'm not sure she's in this photo, but she lived in this orphanage for, on and off for 3 months a year, 4 months a year for many years, and has done so much to support this orphanage here. And there we are. Actually, Shazar took this photo as we were back visiting there a couple of years ago as well in India. And there I am in India working with people from Clinton Global Initiative, handing over checks from our company to actually provide lighting in schools there. And this was at around about the time where Bill Clinton basically wrote to me and asked me to come and meet with him in Mexico, but I couldn't do that because I was actually busy running something else. So I never got my opportunity to meet with Bill, but he was meeting with people who were leading different projects at Clinton Global Initiative. But then on a personal front, Lundy and I are always doing something. The guy on the right, Michael, he's probably outside my building right now waiting for us to come out to give him his daily stipend. He doesn't get it every day because sometimes it's too wet for him to come out, and other times we're away because we travel a lot. But every day that we're here, we go out and give him his daily stipend, and that allows him to buy his food. Some days he's lucky because I don't have change, and other days I'm scraping. So he doesn't get as much as he's used to. But that really brings the joy of giving. And that leads to giving back to your industry and what you're from as well. So Global Speakers Federation, most of you know I'm the president of the Global Speakers Federation this year. That was a board meeting held in Bali a couple of years ago. There are around about 20 people on the board, 23, I think, people on the board. We've got another board meeting happening this week. It's a big investment of time. It's a big investment in political bargaining. This is a great political space, the Global Speakers Federation. If you think some industries have politics, the speaking industry has it. But it's been an industry that I've gained so much from and given back to. I've been on the board of this since 2011. And then buy one, give one. Masami here is going to be coming to speak on a global intelligence update in August. And, they just celebrated 19 years of B1G1, as it's called now. It used to be called Buy One, Give One, B1G1. This was started in an event I had in Perth in Australia in 2007, June 23rd, apparently, according to Masami's post the other day. But their members have created 430 3 million global impacts in the last 19 years. So Masami and Paul have done such an amazing job. And it's so fascinating for me because just recently I was in Singapore at a convention there, and I looked over and there was Masami, and I was like, because they live in Singapore, and I was like, oh, NG, what are you doing here? She said, I'm speaking. I hadn't even looked at the program. And so she spoke, and the whole time she spoke, I just cried because this was how much impact that had happened just from doing something good. Wow, that was good. Then Plant a Tree Today, Andy Steele also was involved in helping set that up. It's finished now. It closed down last year, but it existed for 15 years. They planted 3 million trees in 15 years. So, I mean, it's a phenomenal thing to be part of. I planted trees here in Cape Town, actually. That's not easy because the dirt's hard. But certainly planted trees there and planted trees in Asia as well. So this sounds good, right? And I've just spent, what, 10 minutes? Yep, 10 minutes telling you all this stuff that I've been doing, and it sounds great. But what did I get in return from all this? Well, this is why I want to have this call with you, because it's great to give, and you should give without feeling of what you're going to get. But with a little bit of strategy and a little bit of thought. Like, there was no strategy in B1G1. It just came as an idea in a conference room. And then Masami, Paul, and I sat down at a cafe, and they told me the idea, and we worked it through, and then it just launched. And we were initial members. We're now platinum members or something of it, and have been ever since the start. But we didn't build it. They built it. So I didn't get anything from it. I gave a lot to it. But what did I get in return for all of these things of social giving? So this is where I want you to really consider how much you're doing at the moment and how much more you should be doing. So firstly, I got deep friendships all around the world, whether it was with Mr. V in Cambodia, whether it's with Paul and Masami, whether it's with people that I met through Global Dialogue Foundation, Sage Foundation, Maya Shahani, Circle of Excellence member, one of my dearest friends in the world. So, deep friendships. I got a lot of satisfaction and a lot of joy in doing all of these things, and just seeing people's faces, seeing what happened at the orphanage when we rolled up with a truckload of food and enough to feed them for at least a month or so, and things like that. I got accolades like this year I've won the 2026 Conscious Leader of the Year. I meant to go to New York to get the award. I can't make it to New York, so I'm not going, but they're posting it to me. But that's great. Okay, I got to host and speak at life-changing events. The Global Dialogue Foundation, I facilitated a meeting between Buddhists, Muslims, Christians, Taoists, and agnostics at an office in the United Nations. I mean, who gets to do that stuff? I had monks there. I had all sorts of people in the room for a whole day, and I facilitated a whole day worth of stuff. How cool is that? I've got strategic partners who would do almost anything for us. So through initially social stuff, we've been able to get our intellectual property licensed to all the non-profits in India. So, and this came through a strategic partner of ours. I got to help others make a difference. I got a career-defining role, president of the Global Speakers Federation. I think I'm number 27. So, not a lot of people get to hold that role. But I guess you're saying, what did you really get? Well, I got purpose. I got lots of purpose. And that's the reason I still do what I do, is because, even doing these things, I don't think we have to do this on a Tuesday morning. It's not going to make any difference to our business, but we want to give and we want to do this for you guys. But it's not all about these type of things that you get as well. I did a quick add up yesterday and I lost count, but I've got more than $1 million US out of it as well, from people I've met that have become clients, that have opened doors, that have introduced me to people, that have become strategic partners. So it's not just all one-way giving. I didn't go out seeking money. I didn't seek money, but money has come back, and it's come back in droves. Sometimes it floods in. Depends what the project's on and who's involved and all of that sort of stuff. So there are many, many reasons to give back, but it's an art and a science. So with that, here's the big question. If I contribute when I'm less busy, will that be okay? Or maybe when I have more, I'll contribute then. You're never going to contribute. You're never going to give back if this is your mindset. In fact, the best time to start giving back is today. Today is a great time to give back. And you can look at that and say, Mike, but I don't want to do all that stuff you do. That's fine. You don't have to. Pick one thing. Just pick one thing and get really hugely involved in it and really give. So you don't have to give. So there are 3 ways that you can contribute right now. And we're going to open this up a lot today for questions, comments, and I'm really interested to hear what everybody on this call is doing as well. So first way is obvious. You can give some money. That can be as simple as having your own Michael at the bottom of your building that you look after, or Lisa Dudson, who's on the board of Circle of Excellence Group and a Circle of Excellence Gold member. Her and I went and cooked lunch for the poor people on Christmas Day one time. And they filled Vector Arena in Auckland with people who couldn't afford to buy Christmas lunch, and probably 200, 300 volunteers, of which we were 2 of them. And we served tables and cleaned up food and did all of that. And, you know, we paid for the lunch. We invested in the lunch, all of us. Everybody who volunteered cooked it, bought it, had it delivered, and did that. It was a really interesting day, I have to say. You can give time. You know, president of the Global Speakers Federation actually cost me a lot of money, but it also cost me a lot of time. So I'm probably spending 10 to 15 hours a week doing that sort of stuff, and have been this year. And, you know, that's a lot of time. It's time that I could be doing other things. It's time away from my business, but you can give time because things come back to you amazingly. I mean, the speakers that we have, probably some who are on this call who wouldn't even know who we were if I wasn't giving back to the association world. And you know who you are. So I can think of 2 who have joined, 3 who have joined today, who wouldn't be here if I wasn't giving my time. Then connections. You can give connections. You know, not every charity or business group or not-for-profit or anything like that is after your time and your money. Sometimes they need help, and sometimes you're not the right person to give that help. So in the case of, say, Plant a Tree today, we were able to give Andy a lot of connections. And it was through those connections. In fact, one of my very good friends at the time, I introduced her to him and she gave him 50,000 US dollars. I mean, like, that bought a lot of trees when the trees, like, maybe, I don't know, $1 or $2 or something like that. So there's a lot that can be done by you through just giving some money, some of your time, or some of your connections. So it comes down to the who. Who is the key here? And it has to make sense for your business. So I want to give you an example of what I mean by that. Alex Tay was a client of mine. He's from Perth in Australia. Tay's Malaysian. And he ran a blind manufacturing company. So he manufactured curtains, drapes, and Venetian blinds and things like that. And he said to me, I want to contribute. I want to give back. I said, what do you want to give back to? He said, breast cancer. I said, do you have breast cancer? He said, no. He said, does your wife have it? No. Anybody in your family, friends? No. So why do you want to do that? He said, just seems like a good idea. I said, Alex, it's a great idea, but why don't you get something that's closer aligned to your business? So he thought about it and he said, well, I'm really in the light business. I said, great. Okay, so why don't you provide light to schools in India and Bangladesh through putting bulbs and more lighting and better lighting in schools? So that's what he did. And he had a formula for every X amount of blinds and drapes he sold. He would, put light in schools. He went to India a couple of years later, and he went and visited one of the schools that now had light. And he was blown away and was very moved by what the kids said. But then the principal sat down and said, I'm a math teacher. He said, do you realize that the lighting you put in this school is going to last 20 years? And we have 2,000 kids in this school. So you have helped 40,000 children save their eyesight just in my school alone. And he had donated to dozens and dozens of schools. And he realized his impact was millions of people. Millions of people were going to be impacted by just one thing. So make it make sense with your business. Make something that you get inspired by doing it. If you're not going to get inspired by doing it, it's going to fall away really, really quickly. Okay. One of our other clients rode his motorbike from one side of Australia to the other side and back again, not on any roads, totally cross country, to raise awareness for mental health. But he was inspired to do that. It got on television. It got him a best-selling book out. So do something that inspires you. Do something where you can add value to it. So obviously in the Global Speakers Federation, I'm an extremely global speaker, so I can offer a lot of value. Whereas, not all speakers are very global. Most of them are pretty regional and even just in their own country. Do something that doesn't seem like work, because you're going to do a lot of work doing this. So it's got to be fun for you as well, and do something you can leverage. I picked this photo here from this because this was Earth Fest 777. It was on the 7th of the 7th, 2007, and it was against climate change. And there's the lineup there. You've got the Black Eyed Peas, you had U2, the Police, Madonna, Duran, etc., and Mike Handcock. It was in multi-cities around the world. I was on the Singapore stage, and that's a photo of me on the Singapore stage back in 2007. Probably the worst sound I've ever had on a stage in all of my life of being a musician, but that's what it was. So do something that's really fun for you as well. Here's what to look for. Look for who is involved in this now, okay? So you can make a lot of great connections if there's a lot of great people involved already. Ask the question, can this get publicity? Now, this shouldn't be your major motivation, but if you've got 2 or 3 things that you're looking at, pick the one that's driven the most, but ask these questions. Who will want to bring their crowd to this not-for-profit, to this charity, to this give back? Who'd want to bring their crowd? Because often you can elicit other people to bring amazing crowds to these things. What are the politics in this? For instance, Global Speakers Federation, politics, right? I feel like I'm in Washington half the time. Actually, today I really feel like I'm in Washington because a whole lot of politics has just popped up in that one. The last one, how legit is this thing? I was approached many years ago by a lady who I know well, who was starting a charity in New Zealand, and she wanted me to be part of the board. So I asked who else is on the board. There were some big names. The current New Zealander of the Year, Saray Avery, was on the board. Stephen Tyndall, who was probably one of the most well-known entrepreneurs in New Zealand, started the Warehouse Group. He was on the board. So I said, absolutely. But then when we dug into it, the first thing we thought, this isn't going to be that legit. Even though she had the ability to bring all of us in. So in the end, one of the guys took it over. It became something different. I stayed on the board for a while and she left, and it took off, and now it's an existing not-for-profit. So you have to check that as well. So when I look at this photo of myself, Lundy, and Maya, I think this was taken this year. Yeah, and it was taken in March this year. we're actually here at a film launch hosted by Sage Foundation in Mumbai for a film on the partitioning of India from Pakistan. So, and we got to speak at this event as well, which was great. So here's your big question. Who can I meet if I get involved? How can I leverage this for your own business or some of your own goals? What will it do for my soul? So in other words, will this help me become a better person? Will this help me learn something that I can use in other parts of my life? Will this help me, understand things I never understood before? Am I doing this for the right reasons? Because the wrong reasons won't work. And is my reputation at risk if I get involved in this? Well, once you're on the board of different charities and not-for-profits, your reputation is at risk. So, you have to make sure that everything's above board and that, you're doing the right things all of the time. And, you will slip up from time to time as well. So you're going to have to realize that that's going to happen also. I put one of my normal marketing posts, actually, I didn't do it, but the person who does it put one of my normal marketing posts on the Global Speakers Federation website. And somebody said, Mike, your post is on that website. I'm like, oh, crap, right? Because I'm not meant to use that for marketing my Handcock products and services. So it was up there for 2 hours before I found out, but it could have been there for 2 days and could have been dozens or hundreds of people go, what's this guy doing, So you have to manage this part of it. You have to manage your reputation in this as well. So that's what I wanted to talk to you about today in terms of the art and the science of giving back. I want to throw this over to you guys because I know a lot of you are giving back in certain ways. And it's great to see now, good complement of people on this call. But I'm interested in what this has triggered for you. So let me go to a different view here. So I'll go to my gallery group view so I can see everybody. What has this triggered for you? Yes, Yanu.
Hi. First of all, thank you for sharing. It's amazing stories and great inspiration. I am also a giver. I spent many years maybe balance between being a giver and a taker, and sometimes even a pleaser, to do things because people want me to, and I can't say no. And I think there is always the balance we fight. My trigger is when you told your stories is how to create the balance between a giver and a taker, because at the end of the day, we know how the universe works, that you don't do things because you want money, but then the money comes, like you said, and you mentioned the right reasons. So I think for many years, I always volunteered, I always gave to people money, information, resources, connections, everything. But sometimes I did the right things for the wrong reasons, because of my personal interest. And today I try to focus on doing the right things because of the right reasons, which makes me a better person. One second, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So I try to focus on to do the right things because of the right reasons, which makes me a better person. I always try to be a better version of myself. But I wanted to ask you about the balance between a taker, a giver, and a pleaser, and how we can do this balance. Because we all give, I guess we all give, and we all know that at the end of the day, the universe will grant us with things because we gave to others. So how do you do this balance?
I think that's a very good question. I think my answer, which is not necessarily the answer, but my answer is I go into something to give. Okay. So for instance, Global Speakers Federation would be a good example. I went in that because I thought I want to give back because I'm truly global, and I could see that the people leading it at that stage didn't have a lot of global experience. And I thought I can really bring some global experience to this. Once I got in there, I thought, wow, these people are really asking my opinion about a lot of things. Maybe we should start doing some speaker courses, right? And so then from that, then we had people who were literally on the board of the GSF become clients, and they're clients today of ours. So a lot of them, So, but I didn't go out with that. That wasn't my intention. I don't think I had one speaker as a client when I got on the GSF board in 2011. Now, probably 40% of our clients are speakers. It used to be 20%, but in the last 2 years, it's kicked up a lot. So I think going in with your eyes open to opportunities is really important. I think that would be my answer. Steve, great to have you on the call and good to see you. You've been contributing a lot to your sport. Tell us a little bit about that and why you do it. Why, out of all of the ex-Olympians, is it Steve Evans that is contributing heart and soul back into the sport?
Hi, Mike. Hi, everyone. Yeah, so I think just often, certainly in the South African context where there's not really a culture of Olympism, a lot of Olympians will spend their life in pursuit of the games, and then will end up. Oh, sorry. I think there we go. I just had an inbound call. They'll spend their life in pursuit of competing in the Olympics. It comes and goes in a split second, whether that be 14 days in the case of hockey or 10 seconds in the case of the 100 meters. And then after that, they sort of retire into the corporate world, with a lot of sort of difficulty transitioning. And then at the end of the day, in South Africa, no one knows who you are. They just hide behind their corporate desk, and no one celebrates them. They don't use the Olympic platform for good or anything like that. So we just recently started the South African Olympians Association, which is a chapter of World Olympians Association. There are about 115 out of 209 countries represented. And the two pillars are service to society and service to Olympians. So on one hand, we're trying to help Olympians to position themselves for life after sport. And in other cases, we are trying to use the Olympic platform for good. So it's something that really sort of resonates with me, and where I think there's an opportunity to leave a legacy in South Africa in particular. As we all know, there's a huge amount of requirement for people to make good decisions, and there's many challenges that we face. But similar to how the Springboks have kind of galvanized around their Stronger Together campaign, I think there's an opportunity for us to galvanize around the Olympic values. And there's a project I'm busy trying to roll out at the moment called Dare to Believe, so that people can show up, for their families, for themselves, for their team, for their community, and make a difference to the environment within which they live.
Beautiful. Thank you. That's really good. So tell me, anyone else, what has today's chat triggered for you? James.
Mike, I think it's very important that we do something that we love. Now, I love motorbikes, music, and cats. And I think for me, Rotary is a very good organization to channel my energy and my challenge. Because Rotary is connected with a lot of people globally, and there's a lot of money behind Rotary. So if I can just say that I got involved with a music project where children are bused from Philippi into Cape Town once a week to UCT, where they are taught to play various music instruments. So by the end of the day, we will educate these youngsters, and we will create more musicians in the world. And that makes me happy because I love music. Beautiful. But also it connects me with people globally, because at a Zoom Rotary meeting, I met a guy from Germany. He's a physician. He works on the vocal cords, and he's a mezzo tenor, so he can sing a tenor and also opera, well, soprano. So we're going to bring him out next year, and we're going to put a concert together in the Baxter Hall at UCT. So the chief in charge of the music school at UCT is Professor Rebecca Sondheimer. I made her a Rotarian, so that gives us access to the Baxter Hall for free, and she's also connected to a lot of musicians. So we're going to put a charity concert there, a gala concert, to raise more money for the project. And these are all the things that I love. So it gives me great joy, and I also create a lot of happiness and pleasure amongst many, many people. So I think it's
That's
important
wonderful.
that we do something that we love,
Absolutely.
and that the money is well controlled. And we got a matching grant from Rotary International, so we donate R500,000 to this project with the muscle power of Rotary International.
Very good. Thank you. Annalise, did you have your hand up before?
Yes, I think I do give a lot in time and money, but I've not really focused on connections, strangely enough. And I think I want to be a bit more strategic, and I want to take and copy James and do something in something that I love, and another channel. And I did get involved in the ballet, and then they ran out of money, but I want to go back and go back to the ballet and help them, because I really, really love ballet. So yeah, I think this was a great session, Mike, and it's made me think a bit more strategically about where else can I give that will make sense all round for me, for everybody else. Thank you.
And the beautiful thing about the arts is that if you can get ballet to a level where there's a concert happening, you can meet a lot of people there who have potentially a lot of money, and potentially who need your services as well, and can get you into their companies and organizations and that sort of thing also. Yes, Brad.
Thanks, Mike. So just to pick up on both what James and Annalise have shared, firstly, going somewhere that you love, I find is energizing whilst giving the energy. I do a lot of work in entrepreneurial development. It's a big part of my life, my background. And so I work a lot with entrepreneurs in various NGOs. And an important aspect of this that I found is the connection part. Initially, I would create contacts, I would match people up with each other, and then nothing would happen. Because the very important, very powerful person I was connecting someone to didn't necessarily have the same generosity that I might have had in creating the connection. And the person that I was connecting them to didn't have the courage to pursue it with hunger and intentionality. So what I've learned is I now follow up on those connections. The way I make the connection is very deliberate. I expand on what and why and how, and I make sure that I follow up. And if somebody that I've created a connection to doesn't do anything with it, they get taken off my list and I move on to someone else, because otherwise my own brand is compromised there as well.
It's reputation.
My contact and back to reputation. So there's a lot of moving parts inside that. But it's a great intersection. Thanks,
Very
Mike.
good. Thank you. Anyone else finally? So I want to inspire you to give more thought about what you give to. We're all busy. We could all do with more money. But we all have something tremendous to give. And I think by not sitting behind, waiting for us to get older or get more money or have more time or something like that, by giving now, we're involving the world in a lot better way. And we're showing people who may be our children, our friends, our peers, exactly the types of things that we're doing, and hopefully that inspires them. Yes, Steve, I'll give you the final comment.
It was just a question for you, Mike, because I always like putting you on the spot.
Go for it.
Yesterday, we were just talking about the get, groom, grow, and gold process in our little Monday call. And, on something like this in the giving context, presumably it'll fit into the, I think, is it groom and gold, the last two,
right,
which is about 20% of your time.
No,
so,
it's groom's it's get and groom, that's in the 80%. So you
right,
are
okay,
grooming.
Right.
You're grooming relationships.
In the context of the sort of giving strategy, if you like, so would that fall then into the 20%, obviously, of to try
Definitely.
and build and grow and so on. Yeah.
You just may
Okay.
not be able to do it all in one day or on a Friday or something, but yeah,
Sure.
definitely.
Cool. And do you have any advice in the context of like, I find myself getting pulled in many different directions. So is it just trying to create a boundary around and specific focus goal around that component of the
Well,
giving?
what's worked for me, and I think this is part of my personality, is that when people go, things like this is a typical one. When should we meet next? I'm always the one who says, how about in the week of such and such, this day or this day will work, right? And 9 times out of 10, people just fall in with you. So, I mean, even at GSF, where I have 23 people on a board, I generally am the one who sets the board date, you know? So we have a poll that goes out, but that poll is on days that I actually am free and want to do the board meeting. And so, so I think that's one thing. I think the other thing in terms of projects, don't be scared to say no. I remember when Charlotte Kemp was president of the Global Speakers Federation, I must have been the vice president, I guess. And she said, oh, Mike, can you lead this project? I just said no. She looked at me on Zoom and went like, did he just say no to me? I said, Charlotte, knowing me, do you really think that that is the best use of my skills? And she went, probably not. I said, okay, how about somebody else takes that and how about I do this? So I also find that saying that in any context like this is, you know, if you do something that you're not so good at, it's not going to get a great result. But if you do something you're good at, you're probably going to get a reasonable result.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay. So everyone, thank you so much for being on the call today. I hope this has given you something to think about. If you have any topics that you would like on our Tuesday Global Intelligence updates, please let me know. Next week, we've got, you're going to be with Diane, and Diane's going to be talking about a topic of your next level is only 10% away. I actually really like what she's talking about. And over the next few weeks, we've got some really good and interesting guests as well. So look forward to that. I'm here if you need me, and I'll see some of you later this week, Monica, and some of you some other time. And Yana. Okay, bye everyone.